Hello everyone, welcome. I hope everybody is having a lovely time. Summers are just hitting us, so I just grab something to drink. Meanwhile, you listen to us chat. Also, in this session, we Thomson will answer your questions, so feel free to hit them in the chat box whenever a question arises in your mind. And if it feels relevant during the flow of the session, I'll try to take them up during the session. Otherwise, there is a 15-20 minute slot that we have reserved towards the end of the session to get all your questions answered. So, as all of you know, today we are here discussing on unlocking innovative business opportunities on open networks. Uh, so thank you, Thompson, for agreeing to do this with us. Just if you could just unmute and say hi to the crowd.
Hey, hi Ansha and hi team, everybody who's joined in. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And Ansha, it's a pleasure to be here to discuss backend. We believe in this so much.
Absolutely. So before we get started, we will be covering a lot more about Thomson's journey with open networks and why does he believe in open networks. But to set some context, let me quickly give a brief around who is Thomson and what does he do. So Thomson is the CEO of Rapidor and Placeholder.com. Rapidor is an international award-winning solution addressing B2B2C workflows. Basically, helping B2B trade and it is a B2B trade and transaction platform born and bred in Kerala. His open network journey has started in form of placeholder.com. There are multiple things that Thomson and his team is trying to achieve with placeholder.com. They started with creating the first B2B ONDC platform for buyers and sellers. Then they ventured into also building the first credit buyer app on ONDC so that small and medium players can easily take out loans and credits. Now they are also venturing into B2B exports for ONDC network businesses and working on the overall how do we help these small and medium businesses export via open networks like ONDC. So if you want to know about the plethora of opportunities that open networks bring into picture, I think Thomson is a great person to answer all of those questions, given the fact that he's been venturing into multiple opportunities, be it exports, be it B2B trades, not just B2B, B2C flows also. So without any further ado, let's just get started. Thompson, before we get started, do you want to say a couple of words or should we just?
I think we can start in the flow, we can add more to it.
Cool. So a brief overview of what today is going to look like. Today we are going to talk about some things, these a couple of words have become a jargon in this industry. What are open networks? There are a lot of myths around open networks. People often ask similar questions around lack of trust, lack of opportunities. How can we monetize in open networks? We are going to touch base upon all of that. Also taking into account examples of various open networks so that it helps everybody understand what kind of roles are different open networks playing in the market, and also help you guys imagine your different use cases on how you can integrate yourself with open network. One thing to always keep in mind that the world of open networks is pretty new. Only 1 to 2% of the use cases have been explored till now, and we'll be using them as examples. But feel free to imagine more and more use cases because it is the market that has to bring in the innovation. People like me and Thomson are here just to help you right through, but the power lies in the market's hands. So with that being said, let's address the elephant in the room. Thomson, can you shed some light on helping people understand what are open networks? What does the term open network mean in itself?
Sure, definitely. So, and as even we start to speak about it, I just want to try to draw with similar, maybe, implementations around in the world, what's there. So if we quickly just look at the, let's say the law enforcement or the police out there, we'll see they all have a radio frequency RF walkie-talkie. So that effectively is a close. You cannot at any point in time dial into that network. You need to be in that frequency tuned into that. However, you can connect through your mobile phone to any other mobile phone SIM card owner on maybe any other network. So that's effectively an immediate difference you can see in what's a closed loop and what is an open network there. In terms of when we move further forward, what backend is a language that can help people talk to each other, or platforms talk to each other. And in that scenario, when you talk about an open network, it means that as long as you speak the language and you are registered in a network, you'll be able to communicate to other parties also in the network. So for example, if I've got a SIM card which is in India, I'm registered to the Indian 4G 5G uh, bandwidth, and to maybe a network participant like Jio or Airtel in India. I cannot use that SIM outside unless I initiate roaming, which again, helps a network here interact with maybe an AT&T in the US or anywhere else. So networks can talk to each other, and within a network, we call it open when the network is only there as an infrastructure, but does not participate as a player, or does not restrict, or does not have an unfair or undue advantage as maybe a buyer app or a seller app or any other format.
Awesome. To set some context, since we are doing this session to de-jargonize the industry, the way Thomson explained how networks can talk to each other, we often refer to that as interoperability. And people not having any undue advantage, the network itself not having an undue advantage, or just facilitating the infrastructure, is stemming from the fact that open networks are also decentralized. I just wanted to put some context there.
Absolutely.
So great. So I think in your experience, you obviously go about and talk about open networks, how backend is creating open networks, these pillars of interoperability and decentralization, how the network itself does not hold any power. Obviously, a lot of misconception and myths are surrounded around this whole ecosystem. What are the most common misconceptions that you hear and would like to clarify?
Sure. So one of the most common ones are people. I mean, let's take it in terms of ONDC. I mean, if you look at it, ONDC is by far the first of its kind, well planned initiative of deploying backend and taking backend to a next level where there are a lot of other parts that should come in. With all of this happening, people think that they can trust ONDC, and they will reach out to network participants like us and say, hey, we would want to get onto that open network of digital commerce. And we were directed towards you. You are a platform, I understand. Maybe you might give charges for some services you give. So we want to just take the free one. Let me know where we can download the ONDC network. That's one of the misconceptions that businesses usually have. Where can I download the network or download the app basically for that? And then we go on to a journey to help them understand that, see, you do not download UPI, but you download Google Pay or PhonePe or Paytm. And you do not need to have a Google Pay always to get money from someone else with Google Pay. You can have a PhonePe and still get from Google Pay or Paytm. So that is what is going to be enabled over here. Why there is a big buzz is because you do not have the kind of restrictions or constraints that are put by a platform player that says how you need to behave or how you need to run your business, or these are the demands that I have. So the first misconception that they have is it's an app. ONDC is an app, and they think sometimes backend is ONDC, and they also think many times that it's a government application, and will their data be with the ONDC or not? So these are all the different doubts that come up. But the most common one is, where can we download ONDC?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not, people can't really be blamed because we've been living in the worlds of Amazons and Ubers where application have become our central place to access everything. We are trying to shift people from that platform centric mentality to an open network thinking, which also brings me to my next question. Uh, while the world was happy with the aggregator of sorts like Amazon's, we were transacting, we were digital, we were buying everything of these aggregators, doing ride hailing with Uber, by shopping anything from Amazon. Why was there a need to create such open networks, and what kind of opportunities do these open networks present? Why are they lucrative for people? In a
Uh,
nutshell, because I think we'll deep dive into these opportunities later in the session.
Sure, definitely. So it's like saying, why was there a need for automobiles to come in? We were always happy with horse carriages, maybe, or bullock carts. And it's a natural progression as you move forward, and when the situation is ripe and it gives a kind of a clear pathway for people to be independent and not be constrained by the way platforms are dealing with the whole thing. It was a natural progression that had to happen. Uh, Thinking about backend, even we still have our business Rapidor, which is the walled gardens, as maybe even Sujit at backend would put it, and uh, these walled gardens we had to have our own solution for every player in the game, and uh, we tried to move forward, and we always had to do every part of it. But if we choose to specialize and say, I would only want to handle the buyer side or the seller side or maybe the logistics side, there was never a playing field to do this. And what backend gave is the opportunity for a language to be there for people to communicate with each other on a standard protocol basis. And now what it means is that someone has to take this and bring the rest of the parts of it. I mean, backend is only giving in clear guidelines of how two can communicate, what are the parameters you look at, how best you can interact and take forward a trade, ensure a transaction, do a payment. All that can be in the language that is given by backend.
Mhm.
But it had to be brought out into a real functional form. It gave the guidelines, and what ONDC got in was took those entire infra or the base, put in the infrastructure for it, which is the gateway, the registry, and a whole lot of other peripherals like the policies. How can trust be brought into the network? How can we address any issues that are there? How do we ensure payments are happening? How do you ensure the rules in the country, the different acts that are there are followed, or how can it all be managed in a specific way? And that's where a player like ONDC comes into the picture. And why there was a need, if you ask, it's because there was never a need for a platform initially. There was always trade happening. But when we understood that we can trade with anybody else, anywhere else in the country, in the sense I can choose to buy something that is not yet manufactured, but maybe produced in Assam or in Jammu. Um, Platforms like Amazon or Flipkart are able to bring it. But with that came in the rules that it was a lot of responsibility on them, that they had to ensure everything is, fair, good, expectations are met. All the trust was deposited in them. And they put rules that they felt would be relevant for enabling the trust to happen. Now, at many levels, it worked in the favor of buyers, some in the favor of sellers, but more often, it has not been in the favor of sellers to a large extent. What an open protocol like backend enables a network like ONDC to do is unbundle it and bring it forward to have any seller in any corner of the country to be able to put forward and say, these are the terms on which I am ready to do business. This opportunity was not there for anybody else before, because you had to follow the terms and the policies and the rules and the regulations that are put in by these platforms. So in a nutshell, the opportunity for anybody to trade anywhere in India and now export across anywhere in the world is possible on the terms that help you run your business in a profitable manner.
Thank you so much for that. I think that does cover a lot of misconceptions that we also keep hearing. Why should we do this? Just summing up what you've said quickly, Beacon is just a set of rules that help in establishing open networks like ONDC and so many more. ONDC is just one example of an open network.
Right.
But I would like to ask you further questions around something that you were mentioning, that an open network like ONDC brings in the components like a gateway and a registry. Could you briefly touch base upon what are the other components or essential things that are required, these essential components that help or make an open network what it is?
Sure, sure. So in the open network, first is the registry in which you a buyer application or a seller application can choose to register, and you're available there. So whenever any sort of a query comes in to the gateway, it checks in the registry and ensures that the party is, or all parties are treated fairly. So that's the role of the registry. The gateway chooses to direct the search requests and the response to the search request. I mean, not to be too technical. This is the very simple framework over there. Then comes the network policies. The policies that need to be ensured, like for example, very simple, the policy says that there will be no differential treatment for any seller apps, or let's say buyer apps. So the buyers who come in have got the kind of demand. The demand is coming in from there for business for all the sellers who will be on the network. They could be on different applications. And it is possible that the buyer application, let's say our application, ours is a buyer and a seller application, 2-in-1, placeorder.com. So it's as simple as placeorder.com. And buyer and seller in one is effectively like, we felt in the B2B space. We did not want to differentiate, because in B2B, you can choose to buy as a B2B and also sell as a B2B. So it's like saying that, do you need to have two different inboxes for receiving emails and sending emails? Two different accounts? No. You have a single account, and that was our reason why we went there. But we had to ensure we follow the policies. Next is the policies that say that we will not do differential treatment. So someone as a buyer on our placeorder.com buyer app should be able to get the offerings of all seller apps, not just place order, but also maybe, let's say, Paytm sign process, their seller app. Zomato would be coming in, maybe B2B. Different players would have their own seller apps. None of them should be differentiated, or no preferential treatment to be done. And that is one of the key policies. And there's also the next part where there's a reputation ledger that is a part of the network, which enables businesses to own their reputation. Where, for example, you're an Uber driver versus an Ola driver, your reputations are managed on both platforms separately. Over here, an opportunity to own your reputation so that you will not be stuck onto a platform, let's say like PlaceOrder. Tomorrow, if you see that there's someone else more relevant, okay, you might be in the hotels, restaurants, and catering segment, and someone comes purely for that and gives you better services in that, you will be able to move into that without being stuck onto a platform like ours. So that's the freedom that is there for every seller to be able to run his business or her business in a specific manner. Then there is the open data ledger that comes in. Then there is the inter-network interoperability. Now, those are just coming up. So if you look at inter-network interoperability, that's where, for example, Honest is one of the other open networks there for education, skilling, and training. And as a very simple example, if you imagine, we are the B2B network. We are on the B2B network. We are the B2B platform. So over here, let's assume we are selling electrical goods also. Let's assume a company like, let's say, VGuard, who is manufacturing electrical cables, wires, electrical fans, switches, and also maybe another company, let's say, Finolex or Polycab. All of them could be available with their products on the network. They may have their products across everywhere in different states, different pin codes. There might be an electrician whose rate card is already uploaded onto the ONDC network through one of the apps, right? So I would get onto, let's say, Paytm, and I will search, I would want an electrician. I can see his rate card, I can choose to engage him. And the moment I engage him, we'll agree on maybe the terms and say, okay, fine, this is the expected payment. That clarity is there. All this the application is doing, but all on the network. The moment he comes to my home to do the necessary, maybe I had a broken switch. He comes and says, okay, I need to replace the switch. Okay, this is not a VGuard, it's a Legrand. Okay, he'll search for it and he'll say the price. I will be making the payment. It might directly go to the manufacturer. He would make a payment to the closest distributor or a dealer or a retailer who is there. This guy can go in and pick up the items, come in and fix it. He'll give me his rate card, plus he'll give me I'll just do a single payment for the entire service plus the items he would have purchased. And he would get his commission for the product. He will get his service rate. the shopkeeper who is close by gets his margins what he would be entitled to, and the main company gets the money immediately. Now, at this time, let's assume for any reason that I would require to just quickly have this small amount paid through maybe one of the credit solutions out there. I can just do access a short loan if I would want to. I should be able to easily avail a loan, make the payment, and that entire credit check can happen on the ONDC network in a very simple manner within 5 minutes if required. And since it's a small amount, I can choose to avail it and pay back as per the terms. Now, all of this is possible on the network, which was never possible in a smooth manner before. And this is not done by a single company, but by a range of them, starting from the manufacturer, distributor, retailer, the service provider, and last but not the least, the credit provider also.
Alright. I think with open networks we are able to create a much more inclusive environment overall. Is my video or audio breaking, guys?
Slightly.
Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah, audible. But it's
okay. Yeah. So what you're, I think, what you're trying to bring here is that open networks give everybody an equal opportunity to be a part of the market, access the opportunities in an equitable manner. When and basically allowing the market to participate more and more. Today, with the platforms like Amazon and Uber, the barrier to entry is very high because you have to be guided by their policies, their high commission rates. A small seller might not be able to, they might not have so much money to be able to pay such commission rates. I think that helps us get a more equitable access to the market. That which also brings me to my next question. Often whenever people are talking about businesses or making money in the market, everybody is talking about achieving scale or growing their business. Previously with platforms, you have seen scale of a couple of 100 million, hundreds of millions of users with Amazons and Ubers. But when you talk about something like a network, which is UPI is doing 9 billion transactions every month. So can you also help us understand how open networks are able to, in general, achieve a population scale impact and away, just enable more and more people to participate, more with both buyers and sellers? I think you've shed some light on the seller side of how access is easier for them. Why should buyers? How is open network also helping sellers reach a more wider audience with the usage of or with by being part of open networks in general?
All right. So, 2 points. I mean, my point of view about the scale is maybe everyone does not want to scale so much. Someone just wants to be, focused in their area, catering to something very specific and managing it and being able to give a service on his own or her own platform, ensuring the trust that is required for that local area. Even that is possible. On a closed platform, that is not possible. Here, if I might want to just curate and give for the district I am in a beautiful service that will ensure all of this is taken care of, I will take the pain to have a simple platform to bring all of them on board and ensure the services they would require and are correctly delivered. Or I could say that I would want to make sure that all the items required for the Horeca segment, the hotels, restaurants, and catering around my area, I will be able to do it in a quick commerce format, like the Zepto maybe. That is possible for someone today if he just plans his business out very clearly, puts the clear goals that he would want to do, the right responsibilities that is, to be fulfilled, the ease at which you would want to enable it. All of this is easily possible. So what I wanted to say is that when you say scale, definitely it is his choice that he'd want to serve more. He can even choose to start very small and be very successful at the same time. And again, when we talk of this guy is again, he's a seller per se. Now, if you talk of buyers, a seller like this or a person who's giving a service like this in any area will be someone who's enabling all the buyers there to have the trust and yet a trust on a digital platform, yet be comfortable in receiving it on their terms the way they would want. a buyer will choose to opt a service from someone else very easily. The options are much more when someone sees some of these success cases. Now, one thing we have to understand is we're in the very early stages of ONDC. Very early means even as much as as much as ONDC is old enough to say good numbers, the real magic of what ONDC can do on leveraging the protocols of backend is when something like this happens, where we'll be able to truly say that everyone may not be included, but no one is excluded. Now, anyone who decides to come on board can choose to decide what is the area he wants a service for, because that level of evangelizing, marketing, and the sale activity is done by ONDC. And this enablement enables someone small to not have to not have to worry about two of the five major portions of running a business, which is he doesn't have to worry too much about marketing, and he doesn't have to worry too much about pushing for sales, because as long as he's giving good service and he's able to enable it within the kind of framework that he has in mind, he will get the customers, be it a tier 2 or a tier 3 city, as it progresses over time.
Makes sense. That was an absolutely amazing explanation. But I think one more thing that if you can help us understand, ONDC obviously is one of the biggest open networks that people are aware of right now today. Open networks came into existence in shape and format, especially in India with the existence of ONDC. But now we want open networks have more applications beyond retail and logistics and beyond commerce in general. Can you also help us understand in what other segments are we seeing open networks coming up, and what kind of opportunities can people explore there?
Yeah, sure, definitely. So now let's say Honest is another open network. And there, now we talked about the electrician who was able to get a job done, right? Now, fast forward in time, this guy is going to be a bit old, and he may not be able to maybe climb ladders, stand on a pole, and maybe change bulbs or change fans. He's got his restriction. But on this, he can choose to leverage his experience and come up with a complete training module that he'd want to make his own videos. He can make his own training materials for electricians who can be skilled. And this comes on the Honest. Now, with the inter-network interoperability that happens, he'll be able to put it up, which is not there right now. But when this connects, for now, even if it's not there, someone can choose to just be aware of that app, download that, and be on one of the providers on Honest, see the training that he requires, and move forward with it. So that is one other case. Now, next case, if you would ask me, we have seen Namayatri, the success of it. Namayatri, now being the only player, tomorrow, somewhere the drivers might feel, hey, tomorrow will he do something, like will they charge more? It is not in their interest to. Now, they can even come up with something like a SaaS model. They'll say, hey, per day, if you would want to take any ride, $10 per day, that's all. And you get all the rides you would want. You can pick and choose. That's one way they can do. But now, if you see Namayatri, once someone's on Namayatri as a driver, he's using the Namayatri seller app. He's selling a service on Namayatri, a driver. He might need to take car insurance. He'll be able to avail it over through the financial services domain on ONDC. He'll be able to search and get the right, and maybe there are some parameters of number of rides he's doing, how much the car is used, etc., how much is run, some information is taken. He can choose to take his insurance directly from there. If you bring in issues and grievances, the addressal case, tomorrow, it is only our imagination that's limiting this to be within the entire network of ONDC. You could choose to have a service of maybe someone who's designated by the police to be able to be called for an immediate request that there is an accident over here. Today, we always move the car away and try to clear off the problem with the other party. Even this could possibly come up as an actual service where issues can be addressed and then insurance can be claimed, and you find out which is the nearest garage who can give a service, and have that amount given to the party who should be paying, or maybe to the insurance provider of the other third party. So this is how the networks are going to interact and move forward. Another network is the UHI, Unified Health Interface. That's now, when this becomes a proper managed network, more players will come in there. who can possibly now? Today I was reading in FinShots an article that talks about government trying to standardize the prices of or the char rates in various hospitals. On backend, you can have a clear, beautiful network on the backend protocol where you'll have uh, hospitals having to upload their rate cards, rules having to be possibly checked, and the person worried about if it's the best rate or not can choose to come on a buyer app of a health service and avail the clear benefit of a transparent pricing for multiple hospitals around him. With, again, the reputation of the hospital managed through this, and issues are there, hospitals also can interact over here. So he can choose to order via Namayatri, an Uber, go to the hospital, take the service, get the medicines through the ONDC. Today we've got pharma, healthcare and pharma active as a category on ONDC. So that is the flow.
Yeah. I think, yeah, this is a very important point to highlight that open networks do not exist in silos. What Beacon essentially does is giving everybody a common language to speak and understand each other. Hence, these different open networks are also interoperable. They can also talk to each other. Hence, the Namayatri example that you are taking, that you can integrate it. Maybe, and if an open network like ONDC, which Namayatri is on, is talking to UHI in future, you can just with your Namayatri app book the auto, book the doctor consultation, take the pharmacy order, do everything in one go, like a complete journey in itself.
Absolutely.
So that is what the future looks like. Multiple, and this is just one example that we were able to showcase. Imagine a world where we have a today we have an energy open network, we have a health open network, we have a education and skilling open network, all of these leveraging each other and talking to each other. So that is also, that in some sense helps us in achieving scale, and the numerous possible use cases are we are just limited by our imagination.
Absolutely.
There can be a retail plus health use case, there can be a mobility plus energy use case. I mean, the possibilities are endless.
Yes.
So yeah, awesome. I think since ONDC is one of the biggest uh, examples in front of us today, let us, it only makes sense that we do a little bit of a deep dive. A lot of questions that I also see in the chat box are around ONDC, so the audience is definitely interested. Thompson, can you help us understand, like you mentioned, ONDC is on a fairly early stage. It's been in last 2 years, things have started shaping up. Why do you believe it is the right time for the market or market players to start entering and start innovating on top of ONDC?
All right.
Why
So
now?
yeah, I think so that call has to be taken by the various market players. What we have seen is that many of them are standing by, waiting and watching. They do not know if this will really take off. It's like, I mean, if you look at the example, the biggest banks, when UPI came on, they were like saying, what's this UPI? We don't want to be a part of this. We have our NEFT, RTGS, everything going on. We don't want this transactions happening. I mean, we're not keen on it. They never entertained meetings, collaborations, the big banks. We don't want to take names, but that's what happened. But later on, what happened was it turned around. So today you will see the same thing. The big names of the people who've got the deep pockets who can engage in this are not really fully yet there. They're all saying, okay, we'll get into it. Many come in just for the PR, but they don't move forward. Because, like I said, for anybody who wants to do a business, two parts ONDC takes care of. If you do your work right, and if you are able to work on it properly, the marketing is to a large extent taken care of. I mean, it's a testament that I'm speaking here because we did some amount of work in ONDC, and the visibility we're getting is because of the kind of trades happening on our platform, the onboarding work, etc., that we're doing. All of it is at some level adding to it. So we don't find players jumping in immediately, and that they're right in their own sense. But again, some do not. Some take the route of going via TSP, a technology solutions provider. Some will want to do it themselves. But in all of this, there's one layer, let's say, above this, which is you don't need to necessarily go ahead and make everything as per the ONDC protocol or the backend protocol on which the ONDC is. You can choose to do very specific services that many of these players who would want to get into it um, will require. It could be even as good as a simple solution that if you take the photograph of a product, it'll generate the details about it automatically using AI. This is the product, and you can choose to just change the finer details of how many grams of protein is there or how many grams of fiber is there, whatever it is. And you can smoothen the journey of cataloging itself. This one specific portion, if you correctly do it and give it as a solution that can be plugged in, that itself is, I think $1 million+ revenue that you can correctly do as more and more players come in. If you would want to do something better for issues and grievances readdress, you can have your own specific module that takes care of one part that says someone can just put a voice in there, it can analyze and give, and So the opportunity is immense. And if you want to find out who you would want to reach out to, just go to the ondc.org site. You find all the network participants there. You can get their details, numbers, contact details. I mean, you've got everything served on a platter if you just go into the website. So for anybody who would want to be coming in as a network participant, there's huge opportunity. You want to be coming in as someone who's giving services to network participants, there is immense opportunity. So it is only for now is the right time because there's enough of buzz for the right reasons, and it's not going to fizzle out. It's maybe businesses that come in might suddenly disappear, but this entire journey of ONDC open protocol is going to happen. Now, why I say that is because any business who chooses to be here is also taking a risk of how much can I run, because there's difficulty or to get people to pay for the services. I mean, we find ourselves in a situation where people say that, okay, if I come on board on the network, how many orders will I get? I mean, that level of convincing is not easy, because then I tell them the example that today, if you buy a new SIM card, how many calls will you get? I said, you'll get 0 calls till you at least put it, do your verification and activate your SIM. So same way, you need to give in your details of GST, etc., or do the basic verification to be on the network to start with. Now, once you're on the network, you will need to you are expecting calls when you come, on your mobile phone, but you will not even get a single call. Even your mother will not call you because she doesn't know the number. Forget businesses. So you need to tell this is my mobile number on which I can get calls. So what is the equivalent of that? You will need to go ahead and say, do your marketing. You need to talk to people who are trading with you already and see, okay, I can bring them in here to do some trade so that I will also be clear of how I can handle this business. Plus, the benefit would be maybe I can help him take a credit and I can get my payment faster. This people are not thinking so much. They feel that this is, many of them feel, who come, and it's a magic bullet that if I come on this, suddenly orders are going to flow in. So we take time out to help them understand that this is just one more channel. You're getting orders via phone, via email, via walk-in, over the counter. And this is one more channel that is going to contribute 0% of the orders you will get for some time to come. After which, if you work on it, if you take care of the channel, if you nurture that channel, that will then significantly become one of the most contributing channels for you, for your revenue. So that's a whole lot of, journey that we go through. The question I know you asked is like, why is it the good time? But also, how do we want to address it? How do you want to enable and how do you want to maintain the expectations is also important.
That was point on. Absolutely makes sense. I think audience is also having a similar question. I think it is the right time to take that question. Dinesh asks, "Hi, does ONDC and Honest allow platforms to provide services that are not inherently possible from the core protocol services? For example, Paytm agrees to UPI standards, thus allowing it to be a platform for UPI services, but it also has its own services like movie tickets, etc." I think you were touching base on the same thing as you
Absolutely.
concluded your answer.
Yep.
So yeah, like I think Dinesh, that I hope it has answered your questions. You can become a part of ONDC, any open network, and you start using it as a channel or a medium, as an add-on medium to give out your services, that doesn't stop you from functioning on your own if that is what you want to keep doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so if they have a platform, the company has made a platform in which ONDC is one of the channels. It's not everything. ONDC related activities and services does not become everything on it. It becomes a key part of it. So if you have got like Paytm is giving movie tickets, it's one additional service on the UPI. Same way, over here you'll have, even when Paytm or any of them would come on board to do the B2Bs and they're already there for the B2C. It's you go into the app, ONDC is one of the options for you to leverage on as a buyer.
I think we've been talking about till now about trends of what you've seen going on in the market. But you have, as placeorder.com, Rapido, your team has been very early movers in the ONDC ecosystem itself. What made you place your bets on something like ONDC, and what has your journey been like?
Oh, sure. So allow me to just share the screen to just quickly say the journey and, to bring some maybe visuals to help our folks in the audience gather. Let me just put up something very quickly. So as part of the why we thought about it, and I think, are you able to see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. So just to quickly say, we've been always in the B2B trade and transaction business. And we've been helping businesses, small, medium, and large also, but even the very small ones, address the issues that they've had about, raises in margins. They were heavily dependent on the specific individuals in the business, and they thought a solution would be too expensive. And we went about, working with them at every level, trying to clearly really digitize their operations and see how exactly we can work. We've been with them in the ground field, and we've understood their needs of what would it take for a B2B trade. Working with them, we've understood that they had issues of clunky business operations. They had disconnected fixes today, and they had a heavy problem on human capital issue of, a flux of people coming in and moving out. To sort this, we had come up with a B2B trade platform that gives them a simple plug-and-play solution, which helps them do a lot of automation, save a lot of number of hours. In many cases, we've helped them improve their top line even. In the first year, there's another company who has increased their top line by more than 25%. All of this we were doing in our closed loop ecosystem, what we call as a single platform. Let's say we were not wanting to compare with Amazon, but the buyer and the seller apps were both ours. And as we solved for this, in fact, we were always in that same format where, and these are like, age-old slides, where we had a buyer app, we had a supplier app, we had a logistics part that would come in, all of it, but all under the same roof to have a same application to be used. Now, when we got to know backend in the early 2020, January, in the initial few quarters of 2020, I remember, my co-founders and we sat together, and I was pushing to say, hey, we should backendify our system. Backendify, I was going on saying, and I didn't know Sujat then, and I did not know many of the backend team members with whom we work today closely. But my co-founders, I'll just show you them. So this is Prabhu and Pawan, where both of us, three of us work on Rapido and Placeorder. So Prabhu is the main guy who shoots down the ideas, he said, if somebody sees that your product is backenified, is he going to suddenly buy a product? Or if it's backenified, is he suddenly going to understand the benefit of it? We don't understand the benefit of it. What is somebody? So that's when we shot down that idea and never worked on it, till we suddenly got to know B2C is happening on ONDC, which is on backend. And that's when we took a conscious call. It can move both ways, to be very honest, but it's for us to make sure this is successful. We jumped in, we reached out, just like the first letter in ONDC, open. ONDC team is extremely open to, discuss, collaborate, debate, and bring out. And I had the opportunity to spend time with our our dear CEO of ONDC, Mr. Koshi, where we spend significant time, discussing and saying ONDC is the way we should push B2B and everything. And we had the opportunity to work closely. Now, you go with any new idea, you reach out to the right person there, they will take you in for the meetings, they will initiate, they'll put you onto the right person, and you'll be able to move forward. And that journey, in about 3 to 6 months, I'll tell you what gave us also the energy to move forward was there was one of the articles that came out very initially. We didn't even know it came in the paper that we are working on the B2B part. It was only a discussion that we had with them, and it was only the ongoing meetings, but they went ahead to market you for it, and that's what got us to this level where we are in the newspapers, etc., for the good reasons. And we've been even called to multiple places like London Business School, where we talk of ONDC, how we are enabling, what is the benefits, etc. So in a nutshell, our journey is we've always been in this space, giving a sort of a service. And we initially had a thought of beckon and shot it down. And when second an opportunity came in, we jumped on it. Only time will tell, how well we'll be able to scale on this and move forward. Because when you run a business and you're one of those initial believers, initial evangelists, like there was you will sometimes be confused for a part of the ONDC team itself, and you will take up calls of ONDC and start answering, and that can shave off precious time from business, and it's a call you have to take. So what I'm saying is, be very focused. Like initially, Ansha had said, we are the first on the exports. We're doing the first credit app. Yes. Now, on the hindsight, we've got enough of visibility. So, and we've decided that we came like 99% to launching the credit app. But we thought we had a few of the business cases to solve so that it can be meaningful. You launch and keep something and no one uses it, is like, it's going to gather dust and rust. So same thing in the export space also. We went ahead and got everything, approved and all that. We've had multiple trips outside to push people to take a buyer app and choose to buy and enable exports. And, that sort of a marketing and effort also we end up having to do as a network participant. And that can be very expensive sometimes. So choose wisely what you will get into. I mean, this is on the hindsight that I'm saying. And every time I would go back to the team members, my co-founders also, they'll say, hey, let's finish this first and let's move on. That is prudent advice. So I'll say, pick up one, work on the opportunities, decide what you want to do, stick onto that and move forward. So we are, we are taking some time to refocus ourselves. So that's the honest inputs from my side.
I think that is the best part about working in this ecosystem. Like you are admitting not that if you're proposing open networks as a solution to some problems that we have faced, it's not like that when I say we, I'm talking about the larger community that is involved in participating in networks like ONDC and Honest and UEI. Everything is not figured out. We are still figuring out things as we go. So if you ask us today, some XYZ, will I be able to make millions today if I join? We see how the community believes in it. The community sees a pathway, but it is on community and it is on people like you who are asking the questions to find the solution together. We are in this together. That is what open networks and beckon stands for. People solve for these challenges collectively. And I think there's no lone hero. There's no one Sujit, one Thomson, or one anybody who can solve for the challenges that the entire network faces.
Right.
So yeah, just keep your. It would be my request that you keep your perspective open. Think of don't be afraid to ask stupid questions, because had the people behind why was Beckon won, it was very stupid question that they were asked. Otherwise, we didn't need to challenge the existence of somebody like an Amazon, right? We were happy buying and selling online. It was like the biggest thing in the world. We are able to buy things online just with a few clicks. But ask stupid questions. That is how we reinvent the wheel. And yeah, that would be my two bits. But before we move on to, concluding and talking a bit about what the future holds, what are the future trends, I think it is more prudent that we answer questions that I see here, because everybody is asking around questions around some things that we have discussed in the session. So I think let's take those first.
Sure.
So I think Chintan Udeshi asks, "Hi, how is B2B schema different from B2C schema on ONDC?
So,
Secondly, does B2B schema Okay, let's just answer the first question, then maybe I can take the second question."
so even on that, when you see your B2B, first of all, ideally it would have been good if it's on the same gateway. It's a different gateway altogether. So the buyer apps on the B2C don't get to discover on the B2B side to start with. It might merge together onto a single gateway, but we do not know how that holds. But what is different is that businesses don't want to, a wholesale business wants to sell wholesale. They don't want to worry about small and single unit sales, etc. So their pricing also is on a wholesale level. So let's say if you buy from 0 to 5 tons, this is the per ton cost, and 6 to, so you can have slab based pricing possible. Number one. Number two, the second part I would want to say is that credit 45 days payment terms. So these payment terms and all are a part of the whole thing. Then on a B2C side, you do not negotiate. On a B2B, there's an opportunity and an entire protocol based negotiation possible that can end up being part of the contract also. So if you see, ONDC is the first of its kind where you have got, for every transaction between a buyer and a seller, there is a contract that is created for it. And in a B2B case more so, that gets enhanced with whatever is the terms are getting added on top through these conversations or through this chat. We spend a lot of time trying to work on things like, you know what, we'd want to enable a multilingual chat that someone in Kerala can listen to somebody in Calcutta who's ordering something and he'll see it in Malayalam or maybe English, and he can reply back and the other guy will see it in Bengali. No, these are all beautiful stories. We did some amount of work and not even a single trade happened with this entire thing. So if you look at it, that's the amount of effort that we spent in even trying experiment, and we didn't improve. It goes into the cold storage to come out maybe later, or somebody else might do a better job at it, which we can plug in immediately. So the short, again, sorry for the long answer. The quick summary for the whole thing is the need for both the segments are very different. Therefore, the level of approvals, the logs being cleared off, the submissions being done, the QA testing being done, it's all different for both. So if you go to the ondc.org, you've got the entire details systematically put forward, and you'll be able to understand the difference predominantly. And it's because the trade is different. If it was same, then no one would move into having the a separate vertical in for the whole thing.
Okay, I think there's a second part to his question also. Does B2B ONDC prescribe or follow industry specific schema or common schema data points are different for each industry?
So there is so again these the protocol gives you a framework in which you can communicate with each party, but we have seen enhancements that we had to do in our platform, varying with the domains that we worked in. In fashion, it was very different. We went and did multiple rounds of work in different regions, Tirupur, etc., and getting the parties, convincing them, bring them on board and telling them actual trade should flow through. And then we find gaps and we had to change that. Same way for the footwear. In the wholesale space in footwear, we had to make a few other changes that if they upload the products in a specific format, because it is for the business that the entire network is there. It is not for the network that the business is coming. So these changes keep happening, and then we go back and say, this is the level of information or clarity that we need to specify. Unless this is there, we do not want to respond. And all of this has got an implication on how your app will perform Like things like, the protocol says that unless you've got two good images of the product, you should not be showcasing it. You can choose to showcase it. It will just reduce the kind of experience that a buyer on your application would have. But having said that, if the interface is very different and images are not a part of it, you could bring up something like a kind of a chat GPT interface, or a conversational interface where everything is. But still, images would be required. Okay, images are popped up. This is the most ideal our recommendation for you. So in all of it, the need keeps changing, and even today, ONDC will reach out to all the participants who are active and registered, saying that, hey, this is how the payments are being settled today. Do we want to make a change? This is how maybe the buyer is responsible for all these collections. We want the seller to be responsible on the other side. These sort of an introspection and going back and seeing what needs to be redrawn is happening. So nothing is set on stone.
Great. I hope that answers your question, Chintan. I think we'll move on to the next one. This one is being asked by Pratham. Please share some opportunities in the B2B space. Can you share some use cases with respect to current B2B marketplaces on steel and cement, etc.?
Yeah. So our experience with cement, I will tell you. We've onboarded one of the largest players in the market. A lot of discussions went into saying that, the margins are less, this and that, and how can the commissions be. So all the discussions will happen through, but it is for anyone who onboards these to engage them to actually make the market, warm up, or, grease the or oil the engine so that it can run well. It will not just keep, trying to find the right tune. You need to do the tuning by actually bringing in a few trades. All the negotiations will happen. They can negotiate and say, hey, this is not the pricing that we would want to agree on. This is not the kind of commissions that will make sense. We move forward with whatever makes business sense and try it out, because that's the level of investment we'll also have to do. In steel also, wherever this price is fluctuating, and in B2C it might be different, but in B2B it's very easy for you to reject an order, saying that I will not be able to comply with this. You need to give a response back and say, for this, the prices have changed. You can transparently say that. So it's also in the best interest of the seller to regularly update the price and keep it live and fresh and not let it go stale. Because only if that is there, the experience of buyers who will come in will succeed over there. Again, I feel it is a bit too early to see beautiful traction happening, but it's important that if you are a player in the steel segment or cement segment, understand how you want to run the business. That running the business part is what gives you advantage over owning a platform like placeorder.com or any other platform. If you're able to run the business correctly, enable it properly over a digital format on any other platform, you can choose to move forward tomorrow. Because ONDC is so open, you can choose to go ahead and make your own small application and then try to say, okay, fine. Because of the interoperability and because of the not tied to one platform case, someone who finds value in it can easily move out and come into yours. So it's going to smartly see how to leverage all the work done by others. I mean, stand on shoulders of giants, or even dwarfs, stand on shoulders of them.
Great. Thanks for answering that. I think I'll move on to the next question. This next question is like very close to what we do. I think this question excites me. So, what can be done by backend or government agencies or other firms, industry bodies like NASCOM, etc., to facilitate or trigger imagination that will lead to a greater interoperable engagement?
So I think a simple workshop with use cases of what each network participant is finding difficult to do and what they would like to outsource. Because that's a real problem that someone is possibly willing to pay for. It makes, whenever, something could be in distress and still someone is keen to buy it because it's an opportunity for that person. So if you look at it, these are cases that's of distress to, let's say, network participants who have to manage this, maintain this also. But it's an opportunity for one person who's going to do that so beautifully well that you can give that service to others. So maybe workshops or, even just put together a form and, give some sort of a small incentive that says, hey, those who answer this, and if yours is selected, there's a kind of a prize or, whatever say $1,000 gift card from ONDC. That will help bring in cluster problems and say who would want to solve it. Run a hackathon, someone solves it, give them a prize, open source it maybe, or give it to a business who would want to take it and run it forward. And 100 ways we can do it. Even that's limited to our imagination.
Very valid points. I think to it, I'll just like to add, if anybody who's in the audience or in general when the session is available after recording on YouTube, anybody who is enthusiastic about open networks in general and want to evangelize about it, if you're seeking any support, please do try contacting the Beacon Open Collective community. We are here to support you in every shape and format. We'll support your evangelization agenda and help you in all capacity that we can, from content to planning, let's say, these hackathons that Thomson is talking about, workshops, anything that you want to do. So the community is there for you. So do reach out. Sorry for the shameless plug and play for the community. But moving on to the next question. What are some of the integrations in tech that can be made using blockchain and ONDCs? And what kind of blockchains are mostly significant when it comes to ONDC?
Okay, so see, since ONDC stay now, this would be more valid for backend than ONDC because ONDC is taking the responsibility to do the entire governance to a large extent and ensuring things are in good order, taking a lot of responsibility on their shoulders, which will get distributed over a blockchain per se if ONDC wasn't there. So, what is the value that a blockchain would bring in ONDC? I think it would be specifically for the reputation management, that no one else is tampering with it, maybe, at that level. It could be also be with maybe issues and grievances readdressal, managing that. If somebody feels there is value in going for a contract between two B2B players or even a B2C party, that says that, okay, hey, we maintain this for you in all sense, and no one can tamper with it. And if you have to make the market for it, is what I would say. If you, without having to build everything, go in and bounce off the ideas, that's how you could possibly see what would work out well. So these are the areas where trust, blockchain would be where you would want to establish trust. So ONDC is to a large extent governing those very well today. I think blockchain might be slightly a bit early, maybe. I believe in blockchain, but I think maybe blockchain is a bit too early for it. Yeah.
Just a quick note here for the audience that it is very important to understand when working with protocols like open protocols like Beacon, we are a technology agnostic protocol. Beacon is essentially just a set of rules. Doesn't matter what tech stack or what technology you're operating with or working with, you can still get Beaconified. There are different, I mean, because of the tech stack, the process might differ a little bit, but there you don't have to shift to an entirely new technologies just to be able to Beacon. Or Beacon itself does not possess itself as a tech stack. As a protocol, Beacon is just a set of guiding rules which can be implemented by any tech stack. So uh, zero runtime essentially for Beacon. Okay, moving
So
on.
just to add a
Yeah,
point onto that.
yeah,
So if you look at the backend perspective, DUFP is what defines where there's
yeah,
discoverability, there's ordering, there's fulfillment and post fulfillment. This gets further extended, broken down into finer details when you come into ONDC. Draw the parallel of it in ONDC.
yeah,
But if you can actually, there's an outcome visualization that you can do to Beckonify, which is you bring in all the players together in a document and say how they are going to interact with each other, how will they discover, how will they order, how will they engage in fulfillment and post-fulfillment. You will be able to get in around 10 endpoints are there, what they call search, on search, etc. You can map to it. You can reach out to the backend community, and I'm sure very easily you will be able to find the right person who will engage with you or at least direct you to come to this entire outcome visualization so that you can come on to Beckonify the workflow that you have.
I mean, since you're talking about this, sorry for breaking the flow for the question. This is a question I anyways wanted to ask towards the end of the session, which is today, let's say, people are getting excited about the idea. Everybody is getting aware of something like a beacon exists, which enable the creation of open networks. But today, I am a person who's sitting in the market doing something, and I want to beckonify, but I am kind of lost of where to get started, how to get started, how do I beckonify myself. I think you were in a stage where you were, telling your own story where you wanted to beckonify your product, and your co-founder was like, nobody is going to. Are you going to increase your customer base? So I think, how do you recommend people today to get started in their beckonifying journey?
All right. Very, very good question, considering this is a back-end, session that we're having. See, unless it makes business sense, becknifying is a question mark for you. So you should ask not how, but you should ask why should I beckon? Now, if you would want to bring in your platform compliant for the backend protocol, you will need to do that with a vision in mind that you might be getting ready for a network that's coming in. Unless a network is there becknifying your platform, you are just a backend application platform. Or what is that? The backend provider platform, the BP and BAP. But where is the gateway? Where is the registry for, unless that is there, where will you, which is the platform that you will be, or which is the network for which you will be a platform? So you need to follow one of the, decide your domain, decide your area of importance or influence you want to do, and join Onest or ONDC now and work it out and see. Becknify yours if you have a use case specifically, or if you want to start your own network, go into the GitHub repository, see how exactly you can even set up on your own laptop or on a server of yours, a network per se with a gateway and a registry. And then you check with the there's a lot of effort or work that needs to go into it for meaningful progress, is my point of view. Backend community will be able to, shed more light to it. But I feel with a decent amount of burning that we did, that it has to make good sense at some point in time, else it will remain a hobby. You know, that is my honest opinion.
Thanks for that honesty. I think that clarity is essential, because unless if people are led astray with some imagination that is, the seeking of a better future, everybody wants to do that, but without having a right path or a logical path to it, if I say it correctly, is essential. Without it, you can just get lost and you just lose. Rather than becoming a supporter and being able to leverage the goodness of the technology, you end up becoming a criticizer or somebody who's against it, because maybe you did not follow the right path, and maybe people were delusional about it. So I think being very objective about it is great. And yeah, like Thompson mentioned, do do not take things all on yourself. There's a reason a community around open networks exists, is to help you out, and they are there to kind of help you and figure things out. Do reach out to them. They are always available, always ready to help. Zealots of open network thinking. So do reach out. And yeah, I think community is your best bet if you want to beckonify yourself. Community is there to help. Understanding. There are a lot of technical assets also available. You might not. When I think Thomson started very early on, the ecosystem was also not that involved. The support in the ecosystem was also not that involved. But things have changed a lot in today's day and age, from availability of the community, the growing community itself, availability of technical assets, both on ONDC front and backends front. If you want to be ONDC specific, ONDC is also doing a lot of hand holding. If you want to get Beckenify outside of an ONDC use case, there are a lot of assets available too. So I think the team has been posting the link to join the community a couple of times in the chat section. Join the community, go to the Discord, check out various resources available. I'm sure you can figure out. And if you have any questions, just feel free to shoot them. Awesome. I think we are coming towards the end of the session. We have I see just last couple of questions. We'll just quickly take them and conclude this. We are also like around 10-12 minutes over time. So somebody asks, how much time did you spend in creating APIs? Plus, how was your experience after onboarding to ONDC?
So it took about 4 weeks 4 to 6 weeks to, and then a lot of ironing and ironing and ironing out, and changing and seeing what is relevant. In parallel, we had to work with businesses to onboard them to check, test, and see, because we did not want to go into a cave and make something and come out and this is not what it is. So we had the benefit of having quite a lot of businesses we have access to on our closed loop ecosystem. We worked with them, a lot of convincing we had to, because see, in B2B case, businesses don't suddenly jump in. They need to see a real benefit and value in the whole thing, and that took a lot of time. That was the first part, how long it took. Second one was, there was another question.
Second one was, just a second.
How long
How was your experience after onboarding to NDC?
Yeah, it was always surprises, it's like, oh, this is not what will enable the sale to happen. It was always, this is not what will enable the sale to happen. And finally, a lot of people hear the full story, how it will be on that beautiful day when the electrician can be called on a Paytm, who will reach out there and who will come here and who will do that and everything. So same way in B2B, they were saying, okay, fine, I'm getting an order now. I want the logistics, I want the payments, I want the credit. So the logistics is just coming through on B2B side. Bulk logistics, parties are being talked to. We suddenly have cold chain that's required. Fisheries are saying, you want a cold chain. So there's a lot of expectation management. After we came on board, also a lot of things were not there. Our platform, since it came in the very first time till now, a significant amount of change has happened. A lot of breaking has happened in between. ONDC is a moving target to start with. They have their versioning that's going on, being upgraded. So we wanted to do a version upgrade with the UI upgrade, and the customers we gave a demo to like the UI better, and they were ready for it. But the version upgrade didn't happen, and we had to roll back to our earlier version on ONDC. And the old UI had to be put there. The customers saying, no, we are going to or use this now. We want the other one. I'm just saying these are like the practical situation that you'll go through, and we try to get maximum bang for the effort we're putting in. But that one specific one really backfired. We started losing order count on our platform. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for answering that. I think that brings us to the conclusion of this session. Thank you so much, Thomson, for taking out time and helping our audience understand. I still feel people will have more and more questions. If you have any more questions, we are running out of time. I'm sorry, we cannot take any more here. Please feel free to shoot them in the community. Either Thomson, somebody from Thomson's team, or even the larger community will help you in general understand answers and resolve your queries. To that, Thomson, any concluding remarks from your end?
Yeah.
Any words of wisdom that you would want to leave the community with?
Yeah, I'll say be a believer. Don't restrict who can do what. I mean, yourself, I'll say, yourself. Be very clear, zero down. I mean, where I would say I would change is I would choose to have said no to a lot of things that we did, and just focus on a few other things. But though that's your learning curve. ONDC is where I always will say, everyone may not be included, but no one is excluded. So that would be what I know what ONDC really is. It's each one's choice to beyond leverage. There's a huge tailwind. Leverage it in the right way. Go for it.
Great. Thank you so much. Anybody who missed out on this session, joined midway, a recording of this session will be available on Beckon's YouTube. Please feel free to check out early next week. And yeah, like I said earlier, community is available always. I think, Thomson, this has been a very, very valuable session. A good, very real in terms of, seeing the positives and the hardships that we are facing today in the world of open networks. Thank you for being very objective with us.
Thank you, Ansha.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for an amazing host, and I really enjoyed being able to interact with our community at Beckon. Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye. Everybody, have a great weekend ahead. Have fun. Yeah, thank you.